Welcome to Gaia's Voice Podcast with Matilde Croscini. This podcast is for women looking to connect with their innermost wisdom and unlock their unlimited potential to be who they were born to be. This space is for you. This time is yours. You are held by the earth underneath you. Be you. Be wild. Be free. Now let's begin.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Gaia's Voice. I'm so happy to be with you today and share space with you. And I'm honored that you're taking this time to be with me today. So this morning was a tough morning, and the time leading after recording this episode was quite challenging, as I experienced quite a lack of clarity into what to share about. And so that is what I want to talk about, is that feeling of not knowing what to do next. And I'm checking in with you if you're familiar with this feeling of really deeply feeling like you want to achieve something or do something and not knowing what to do next, not knowing if you're good enough to do this, not knowing if it's even worth anything what you're doing, and feeling like such a deep sense of inadequacy. And if only there was someone there that could tell me what to do and how to do it, someone I could just hand all of this over and go, you sort this for me, because I really don't know what to do. And personally realizing that there was no one I could really turn to within my family was one of the hardest things to realize. To get to a place where you've connected with yourself to a point that the people around you mightn't necessarily get what's happening, and especially the ones that we thought were meant to guide us. I mean, our parents, our family of origin, they were the models. They were the ones that, even if intellectually we know that they mightn't have modeled exactly what we want to do, we still have, as kids, the inner child inside has the wish that we could actually just simply follow them and follow their role model, follow them as role models, follow what they've modeled. Oh, so it hits hard when you realize, I can't really be looking over there for that kind of role model and that kind of support. And personally, the more I connected with myself, the more I felt the distance with my family. And that made me feel very, very alone, very, very frustrated and angry at times, and very lonely. And that is really, it's intense to feel. Do you ever feel like if only someone could really get you? Do you ever feel like if only someone could really see what I'm trying to do here, what I'm trying to achieve? the kind of life I'm trying to live. Can't you see what I'm doing? Do you ever feel like that? And it's intense. Yeah, it's really intense feeling like that. And if you ever feel like that, if you're nodding and that this resonates, well, I honor you, and it's like I'm in awe of you for feeling like that, for allowing yourself to actually feel such intense emotions. As a lot of the time we're trying to find ways to distract ourselves, to just sedate these feelings that come up, um, and that doesn't really help, because until we feel like this, until we feel at the bottom, um, we can't start climbing up. If all we do is activities and things just for the sake of distracting, go buy new stuff or just going to your work so much that you're thinking about nothing, go into, there's so many different ways to sedate our feelings, that each one of us has our own way, and there's like millions of ways to do that. But there's only one way to move through a feeling, and it's to feel it. To feel it. To just be there and feel it in the intensity that it has in the moment. And there's wonderful ways to do that in a very safe, supportive environment, of course. Like, there's so many different ways to be supported out there, and wonderful mentors and guides. But ultimately, it's up to you to feel that. And that is the hardest thing to do in one way, and yet the most liberating thing to do. What I've noticed in my own experience is that every time I really truly allow myself to feel what's there, I'm always, always, always coming out the far side with such a shift in everything. It's in my energy, which then reflects into what I do, and it reflects into the clarity I have. So to go back to the beginning of this, that sense of clarity of actually, knowing what to do next, knowing what you want to do, what and how to do it, and feel that clarity inside of purpose, of thoughts, of action, the clarity on who you are, really deep. Not all the labels, not all the, well, I am such and such person, and I prefer such and such type of food, and I just only wear certain clothes, and I only, like, the labels. Forget about the labels. Those are layers that we put on the outside, and the more, actually, the more we put emphasis on the labels that we apply on the outside, is a way to hide the fact that inside we just are like a lost little kid that hasn't a clue, but we don't want to admit that. And not only we don't want to admit that to people around us, but we don't want to admit that to ourselves, because that takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And it's challenging, because when you start really pausing and letting go of all the distractions, you're just left with you And the first part of it is you're left with all the doubts, fears, insecurities. Those are the first layers. And then as you move through the feelings, I promise you, it starts getting into places of deep, deep, deep insights, real wisdom, your own guidance, not anymore of the patterns, not anymore of the stories or the programming and the conditioning, but yours true real guidance, the one deep, deep, deep within. And it is a process. It is a process because it requires doing stuff that we haven't really seen anyone before us do. That has been my biggest challenge. Who has modeled the way I live before me? I can have sources of inspiration. Of course, there's many women that have achieved amazing things and have done it in such courageous ways. So there are sources of inspirations out there. But when you want to find your own way, the only place that you can look is inside, because it's your own way. No one has done that before. No one. It's you. You're unique and special and precious. And no one else has done this for you ever before. And so finding a space to give yourself time to figure and to acknowledge that you have no idea what to do. It's not a sign of weakness. It's an amazing sign of courage. To be able to feel how inadequate you feel at times when you are wanting to do something that is really meaningful to you, but you don't know how to do it. Or you feel like you don't know. You feel like you're not good enough. Of course you are good enough, but you feel like you're not. There's a crushing feeling inside of, I'm such a mess, I'm such a failure, I haven't, and we can even go into this tunnel vision of only seeing the things that we haven't done right. And in those moments, we can't actually see all the amazing stuff that we have done right. We're just going to this, all that hasn't gone well, all that is like not gone how we wanted. And so that is proof of the fact that we aren't able to do what we want to do. But to be able to actually feel all of that and acknowledge all of that and go, this is what I'm feeling right now. Wow, the intensity of it. Wow. That's the first step to then move to the place of being able to start acknowledging actually what we have done. And I trust me, if you were here talking to me one-on-one, there would be so many things that would emerge that you have mastered, that you have done so amazingly well. It's just, it takes some real looking in and courage to take the first steps to then get to the point where you can really feel all the things that you can do. So maybe you could take a moment right now and even just list three things that you have done that had total amazing success and proof of how wonderful you are. You turned on this podcast, and this means you are actively looking to connect with yourself more and more. It means you've acknowledged that you would love to live a different kind of life, and that also that you know that this is possible, because you wouldn't be listening to this if you thought it was impossible. If there's no hope, why even bother using this time? I mean, you could be watching Netflix instead. You got up this morning. What else? Simple things. Start with simple things. Really, really simple things. And I know the mind can say, oh yeah, that's easy. I mean, everyone can do that. Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. First of all, because comparing is a poison. Comparing is poison. Comparing what you achieve or your situation to anyone else, it's pure poison. It's only going to cut your wing and stop you from doing whatever it is good that you're doing for yourself, because our mind will only pick up on what we think others are doing better than us. When we're caught in that pattern, that's the only evidence that we are actually going to pick up on. And also because a lot of the sources of information to then compare ourselves, like social media and magazines and all of that, what we're seeing is such a small portion of the real life of that person that it's really no evidence. It's so not valid to wanting to compare. And also because no one is you. No one is you. There have been times in my life that getting up in the morning was the biggest achievement of my day. Was I a bad person? Was I worse than a lot of other people or better than a lot of other people? That makes no sense to even go there. That was my biggest achievement. And if I can celebrate that, if I can see that, then I start tuning in to all the other teeny tiny micro achievements. And then once you start putting them one beside the other, you start seeing how amazing you're doing. But we gotta start with small things and one step at a time. And the only comparison that you can do that can be helpful is to notice the gap between you now and maybe where you were yesterday or the day before. Not in a judgmental sort of putting yourself down type of way, because that can be detrimental also if we do it from a certain perspective, but sometimes this can be helpful. Like I know for myself, there's a gap. Before, I wasn't able to get up early in the morning. I wasn't able to put myself in front of the camera and express where I was coming from. There's a gap. And then if I look again, I can see like, well, there's a bit more of a gap now. I can be more myself. Before maybe I was in front of the camera, but I wasn't being totally myself, and so on. Like you can compare in that sense if you're able to do it in a way that focuses on the gap. Always being so kind and loving with yourself. So kind. To live inside of yourself, to live in your own body, to live feeling, really feeling what's there to be felt. It's uncharted territory. There's very few people that are really doing it. Very few. And for each of us, it's a unique journey. So really being so kind, so kind to yourself. Hold space for yourself. Allow yourself to experience days when, or moments, or minutes, or hours, whatever it is, where you are like raw and vulnerable and open to feeling the intensity of the emotions that are there, to what is available, to what you are able in the moment. We're not here trying to push it. We're not here trying to, oh, I just gonna sit here and feel so sad now. It's not about that. It's not about how can I be miserable. It's actually totally the opposite. Is how can I be really happy and free and loving my life and experiencing enthusiasm and creativity and inspiration and all the beautiful things. But there is a spectrum of emotions that is like if you sedate the challenging and intense ones, you're also going to sedate the good ones. It can't happen that we only get rid of the intense ones and the challenging ones and then we only experience the good ones. It just, you have to broaden the spectrum in every way and you have to be able to feel everything. And so this is a different way of living. And it hasn't been modeled much, if anything. And it can feel lonely. It can feel difficult and frustrating at times. There are going to be moments where you're wondering, why am I even doing this? Why did I open up to this? I mean, it was so much easier when I was sedating everything. And on a superficial level, maybe it was. But that was the question I asked myself, is that can I truly be happy if I am not being myself? Because I know I'm not being myself deep down. So can I truly be happy? Can I truly be free if I only live one portion of who I am, one tiny part, and sort of forget about all the rest? And the answer for me was no. I can't. I will get to the end of my days regretting all that I haven't done for fear of not being good enough, all that I haven't allowed myself to feel for fear of suffering, for fear of, not loving fully my beloved because of fear of rejection or fear of abandonment or not loving fully or not being fully the mother I want to be, for fear of failing, for fear of not being good enough, for fear of projecting onto them and hit the stuff and they will then suffer. And so just, putting so many stops and blocks to my capacity of being who I am for fear of intense emotions, for fear of opening up doors inside of myself. This is making sense to you. This is resonating with you. You ever feel like that? You ever feel so afraid to do something? Sometimes so afraid to even get out of the house, so afraid to even do the simplest of things because of what could happen. And for me, that was a life that wasn't really worth living. And I've had moments where I really felt like the world would be a better place if I wasn't around. And thankfully, I never acted on it. But my wanting to protect myself from feeling intense emotions actually brought me to very dark places. And that's the funny thing, is like we try to avoid the storm, thinking that the hardest thing is to be in the middle of it. And in actual fact, is only going through the middle of it that we can find the peace, the real freedom, the real true essence of who we are, and feel really empowered, really ourselves. The beautiful woman that you are, the amazing creatress, the amazing goddess with all her aspects. That's you. You can really, truly do anything you want to do. You can really, truly, you're allowed to be who you are, even if who you really are is very different from the projection that you've been putting out all these years. You are allowed to be exactly who you are without having to explain yourself to anyone. Just connect with you, and listen to that inner voice, to your true guidance, yourself. I know that there's a magnificence in you. There's flame, this flame inside that just wants to burst into like wildfire. It's there. It's always there. It's there, and it's alive. Even sometimes it's only like a tiny spark, but it's still there. And so the more you connect with it, the more you fuel it with you, with all of your intensity, with all that life is offering you, with all that you have inside you in your heart, the light, the shadow, and all the shades in between, all of you, that flame is going to be unstoppable. You are unstoppable, and you can really do anything you want to do. All those amazing dreams, inspirations, things that for so long you thought, I'm never going to be able to do that. Who am I to even do that? You can, and it's your birthright to be happy and to express what's inside you in whatever way feels good to you. And invitation is just, the hell with it, stop waiting around. Waiting around hasn't brought me any good. Only a lot of anxiety, a lot of sadness, a lot of hopelessness that fed onto itself. And I still feel that sometimes because the momentum is such. The hell with that. It's time to live, to experience this life. Whatever your belief is, this life doesn't come back. This one here, as who you are now, in that body you're into now, this one doesn't come back. So, and that doesn't mean go wild and change absolutely everything and drop your job and whatever it means to you, I don't know. But it doesn't have to be drastic. It's an inner journey, it's an inner change. It doesn't really have to be a massive outer change. Sometimes it is, but it doesn't have to be. It's it changes where you come from the inside when you are living your life. And that's how even people that were like in prison could experience the highest levels of freedom. I mean, their outer circumstances weren't exactly perfect, but it's where they came from inside. That's the place to make the real changes. That's the place to connect with and really, really feel into it. Now is your time. Now is your time. And I know you have it in you. I know you do. Because even in the worst moments, in the darkest times, where I felt like I was going to, that death was probably the only way out of this, it was in me. It was always in me. So I know that it's always in me. It's in you to make this life, this moment, the most amazing moment. Live it fully. Let me God this way. That's enough for today from me. Thank you for being here with me, sharing this space. As always, I love hearing from you through your comments, through your reviews. And you can always connect with me on Instagram at Gaia's Voice. And you can join our tribe of women on Free to Be a Goddess on Facebook. I'm sending you lots of love, lots of love. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.